Well, happy Tuesday. It's time for this week's video. Get ready. Well, today I'm just going to talk about a little trail of thought I had after reading something on our private group on Facebook. And that's the Gospel Revolution private group. If you have not found it yet, just search for that on Facebook and you'll find it. And anyway, so I read a post from a while back, like maybe a week ago, I don't know. And Wayne Leach was talking about how he could see how the Old Testament law, how it still has an effect on the world now, and the way the world works, and how people, deal with things. And so I went on a little bit of a rabbit trail of thinking, because first of all, the Christian world now, they try to adhere what they consider to be the Old Testament commandments, but they don't. And for the most part, the 10 commandments, but there are other commandments throughout the Law of Moses, which is the first 5 books of the Bible, and they try to keep some of those as well. But they don't keep the whole thing. And the critical part of the Old Testament law is there's 613 commandments in that law, and you have to actually, if you break even one of the 613, you are guilty of breaking each and every other one, all 613, each one. And so it's literally impossible. Now, modern day Christians, when they think of the law and the Old Testament law, they mostly think of the 10 Commandments. And so it's fragmented. The reason I say fragmented is because Jesus said he did not come to destroy the law. And the root word of that Greek word in the original Greek, it means to fragment. Where, you just fragment the 613 laws. And you pick and choose basically which ones apply nowadays and which ones don't. And that's not how that law works. It works as a complete unit. All 613 or none at all. So, where my thinking went, like I said, this is a bit of a rabbit trail, is I was thinking modern day Christians now, and the Sabbath is something that most modern day Christians think you should keep. You shouldn't work on the Sabbath. And then that's even kind of fragmented, because originally the Sabbath was the 7th day of the week, or feast days or holy days or other things in Jewish tradition. And so modern Christianity doesn't practice that, with the exception of some small groups and the Seventh-day Adventists. Big deal. Either way, they're still fragmenting it. So, what's the point? If they're breaking it, then they're breaking the entire law. And that made me think, well, the Sabbath and breaking the Sabbath, that made me think of my own childhood, and even now, in modern day. My mom, she religiously goes to church every Sunday because she believes she has to obey the whole honor the Sabbath and keep it holy. And to her, in her thinking, that means you have to go to church every Sunday. You shouldn't work on Sundays, things like that, even though Sunday was never at any time in the history of the law. It never was Sunday. But she believes that. And she frowns on me and my sisters. We don't go to church. We haven't gone to church in years. And she's very unhappy with us for that. Very unhappy for that. So much so that she treats it as though the fact that we don't go to church, it's like we're breaking all the 10 Commandments. I mean, that's the way she acts. It really does have that effect on her. Because we don't go to church, we're not doing anything right. And that's how that works. So, why is it a problem to even try to adhere to the law? Well, Paul said something very significant about it. Even if you're trying to adhere to one thing, like most Christians, that, you got to go to church on Sunday. You've got to honor the Sabbath. That if anything, you do that. Well, Paul said, if that's your deal, you're fallen from grace. See, he was writing to the Galatians one time, and they weren't so big on the Sabbath thing. They were trying to follow the law, the one law of the 613 about being circumcised. So in Galatians 5, he says this, and it's a few verses, but I want to show you what it means. He says, "Stand fast, therefore, in the liberty wherewith Christ hath made us free, and be not entangled again with the yoke of bondage. Behold, I, Paul, say unto you, that if ye be circumcised," because that was their issue, the circumcising, "Christ shall profit you nothing. For I testify again to every man that is circumcised, that he is a debtor to do the whole law." Why? Because if you're going to obey one, you have to obey all, and you can't break any of them, not even a single one. So he's a debtor to the whole law. "Christ is become of no effect to you. Whosoever of you are justified by the law," even if it's one, Sabbath, circumcision, whatever, "you are fallen from grace." You have fallen from the knowledge, and you've become bound again, like he says, "Do not be entangled in the yoke of bondage." You are a slave to the religious consternation of trying to obey Old Testament laws, even if it's just the Ten Commandments, and you're using that to justify yourself, or try to justify yourself, and you will fail before God, because that does not justify you. Christ already justified us all and freed us from the law. Not only do the others, the 613 not apply, not a single one applies. Not a single one. We are not evaluated or held to by God any law. That's grace. It's revolutionary, folks. Have a revolutionary day.